it's made every match so much more enjoyable to watch because you don't get the stinkers, right?
Right. It goes back to these guys being smart. They figured out that if I've got the hammer in my back pocket and I don't relinquish it, we can just play them straight up and win. They figured that out. And so it's like, all right, now credit to the people at TGL. Like, no, we need to fix this because the hammer can change the match. And since we fixed it, you're not out of it.
The Smiley Show, only on SportsGrid.
There is going to be an energy to game time decisions that you will feel night in and night out. We're going to go through every single thing, and I've got a great team behind me that's going to help me get the job done. I want this to be the place that people come to. We are going to hit every single one of those markets that you need to know about. There is not going to be a better place, I promise you, than game time decisions. We will have everything at our disposal, and we will use that to our advantage. I'm Kevin Walsh. Tune into Game Time Decisions from 6 to 8 p.m. Eastern on SportsGrid.
Off of the combine this weekend, there's been lots of anonymous sources and position coaches and all these things that sat down in interviews with him. A lot of teams allegedly don't see him as a first-round pick.
Their big mouth that thinks they can do it either. They're embarrassing themselves. They all think they're so smart, everybody in this business. You're all a bunch of drips. Honestly, you don't know who's going anywhere.
Pharrell Coast to Coast, only on SportsGrid.
Live right here on the early line on SportsGrid. It is our third and final hour. We welcome you to it. One more hour to go up until 11 a.m. Eastern time. He is Donnie. I am Ben. So many college basketball handicaps on this Wednesday coming your way with a stop in the association as well. Our coach, James Young, JY, will be here for the final half an hour to break everything down. Should be a very exciting time with so much college basketball action. We're an hour and a half away from the first game on this Wednesday in the A-10. That allow me to correct myself. I've been saying Brooklyn, the Barclays Center. It's in Washington, D.C. My apologies. But still, a great one to start in the A-10 in just about 90 minutes. In golf's unofficial fifth major this week as well, TPC Sawgrass. It's the Players' Championship. Live from the Sunshine State, Keith Stewart will join us in just a couple of minutes as well. DRS, so much good stuff to dive into here in a jam-packed third and final hour.
Yeah, the A-10 used to remember it was in Atlantic City for a time period. Pepe Sanchez and the boys from Temple down there with John Chaney. Those were the good times now. Oh. Bring it back. Like, come on, it shouldn't be in the Barclays or anything like that. And by the way, put Temple back in the A-10 as well. Times were better. Mark Jackson and the boys way back in the day. McGonigal Hall, North Broad. They ruined it by going to the Leah Coors Center. We had so much good stuff with Temple back in the day. It's a shame we can't reclaim that.
DRS, of course, as a proud graduate of, now I'm blanking on the name, Wayne, New Jersey.
Syracuse.
Don't tell me. No, you.
What you going to call it?
What'd you play?
Man.
No,
William Patterson, come on now. Yeah.
William Patterson, WP.
William Patterson.
I knew it was somewhere. But, of course, as a man that grew up and still lives in regional Philadelphia, of the Big Five, who is your favorite?
Yeah.
Never asked you that.
Oh, by far it's Temple. Yeah, Mark Macon and the boys, mid-1990s, all those Elite Eight teams, we just never could get to the Final Four. But that small little place out there on Broad Street, McGonigal Hall, used to absolutely rock with John Chaney in the late 80s and early 90s, man. It's a shame that, again, we can't get back to that. And I blame Rasheed Wallace for that, for not going to Temple and choosing North Carolina. And that's really the blame. So how about that, Rasheed? Rasheed catching strays this morning.
I did not think Rasheed Wallace would come up in a conversation about the Big Five in regional Philly. Least favorite, I would assume, is Villanova, just because they're a little bit preppy.
Yeah, it's Villanova. Yeah, exactly. Sure. They're outside the city limits, per se, and also the Big Five used to be a big deal in the 80s and 90s, and Villanova, during their Big East heyday, like, man, we're too big for this whack Big Five. Let's move on. So there's still a lot of hatred at that point coming down the street for Villanova.
Yeah, listen, I'm not too fond of Villanova myself. A rivalry with Syracuse from the Big East days.
Couldn't
Almost
get in,
got into a fight with some what? Couldn't get in.
You didn't get into Villanova? Is that why you're upset?
You wish, WP star. Yeah, good stuff. Appreciate it, man. Listen, we almost got in a fight with some Villanova fans at the Garden for a non-conference Syracuse-Villanova game. I think before my time at SportsGrid, either 2020 or 2021. Regardless.
Where were you?
What
were you doing?
Many of things. Hosting a couple of podcasts around the Big Ten, working at J. Crew as a retail sales associate to make ends meet. You need fashion. I got you, brother.
Right, retail sales. That just means you're on the floor saying, "Can I help you with something?" Like, what does that mean? Yes, good. That's I was like, hold on, Ben was in management way back in the day. I was like, nah, that sounds good. I was like, I got it.
No,
I got
just trying to glamorize the title, if you will.
Yeah.
Just trying to glamorize the title. Had a good time, though. A lot of action down there in Soho.
Yeah.
All right, let's get to what we are doing here in this third and final hour. That is a conversation around NFL free agency. The league year for 2025 in the NFL begins today, 4 p.m. Eastern time, when all of those agreed upon terms do become official, and that will be in Indianapolis as Daniel Jones joins the Colts. What's his prognosis in Indy? How competitive will that QB battle be this offseason in Indianapolis between Danny Dimes and Anthony Richardson? It was a question we asked you in Fade the Public. Whoa. At SportsGrid on Twitter, DRS.
Good call.
It's not often that you see an even 50-50 split, not even a couple of percentage points with a point you-know-what coming after it. 50-50 on the exact marker. Here was the question. Which QB will start more games for the Colts next season, Anthony Richardson or Daniel Jones? And now the updated numbers not favoring AR. It is exactly 50-50 for both Richardson and Jones. So, Donnie, which way did you vote in this Fade the Public poll?
I actually voted Daniel Jones because I don't think you just snap out of it like Anthony Richardson is just going to get it and play 17 games. Also understand this. Sometimes, Ben, it's not even just about performance on the field. It's, are you available? Are you getting injured? Do you have concussions? Do you have shoulder injuries? Because the one thing we do know about Anthony Richardson is he plays football like a linebacker. He's bigger and faster and stronger and says, I can just run over you or I'm going to take repeated contact here, and that could be a detriment. So it's not always about just how well you're playing on the field. It's your availability. And for me to say, Anthony Richardson will be the starter for me in September. But if that starts off slow, you already hear the cat calls for Daniel Jones, and you might as well move off. And maybe there's escalators for Anthony Richardson, where if he gets injured, you have to pick up the next year's contract. You get where I'm going with that. So for me, I actually chose Daniel Jones. I think there's a legitimate chance that Daniel Jones is playing either for bad performance and or for injury performance to Anthony Richardson.
DRS, I also voted for Daniel Jones in this poll. I think Daniel Jones is going to be the starter for Indianapolis a good majority of this year. And here is why. When the Colts didn't even have Daniel Jones on the roster or a quarterback signed to compete with Anthony Richardson in this perceived quarterback battle, they let everybody know in their own home city during NFL Combine Week that AR was going to be in a quarterback competition versus a QB to be named later. So regardless of who that guy ended up being, it was going to be competitive. And then you signed Daniel Jones on a 1-year, $14 million deal, which even further told me they think Daniel Jones is going to take the mantle. If Anthony Richardson does not perform as they would hope he can raise the level of his game this offseason, and to Donnie's point, in the areas where he needs to be better, consistency, efficiency, accuracy, those are not things that often improve from a career percentage of 50.6 in terms of that completion percentage. The main knock on AR coming out of Florida at the collegiate level. It's Daniel Jones' show in Indianapolis a majority of this year. Donnie, bonus question. I have already said my piece on this. I know you disagree. I don't think it's just majority of the year. I think Danny Dimes is the week 1 starter in Indianapolis.
That would have to be a disaster. Like, there has to be some off-field troubles here, because I do think that the Colts are doing the right thing by saying, we're not going to bring in an Aaron Rodgers type that's going to be demanding right off the bat and he expects to start. We're going to bring in a guy who lost his job in New York, was a backup in Minnesota, and left Minnesota as a way to say, what's my pathway forward where I can at least compete for a starting job? I think competition does bring out the best in players, and maybe Anthony Richardson will put a little bit more work in the offseason, because the one thing that we do know is he's a specimen, which means in OTAs and preseason, he's probably going to look the part. But when the real bullets start to fly in September, where defenses are game planning for you, that might be different here. So outside of a devastating injury in the offseason for me, I don't think Daniel Jones is going to start this season. I really don't. But there are escalators there for Daniel Jones that shows he's not actually showing up to Indianapolis going, you know what, Ben? Hey, I'm just a backup here. I think he thinks he's going to be the starter, which drives a pretty good competition that I think Anthony Richardson is going to get the nod, just like last year in Pittsburgh, where you saw Russell Wilson and Justin Fields. Hey, we thought it was going to be equal. It was never equal. It was always going to be Russ outside of injury, which turned out to be an injury, and then they still went back to Russ anyway.
Yeah, but Donnie, to your point, that was Mike Tomlin from the very start, being this is Russell Wilson's team. Doesn't matter what Justin Fields does during camp or preseason. It is Russ's team. Right now, at least the word out of Indianapolis early in the offseason, it's an open quarterback competition. AR has to prove his stuff. To me, when you read between the tea leaves, that's a clear indication they're not very happy with the future direction of this franchise under Richardson. And thus, I think it's Daniel Jones' job by the time we get to the end of August. Let's talk the Players' Championship this week. Next.
It's made every match so much more enjoyable to watch because you don't get the stinkers, right?
Right. It goes back to these guys being smart. They figured out that if I've got the hammer in my back pocket and I don't relinquish it, we can just play them straight up and win. They figured that out. And so it's like, all right, now credit to the people at TGL. Like, no, we need to fix this because the hammer can change the match. And since we fixed it, you're not out of it.
The Smiley Show, only on SportsGrid.
There is going to be an energy to game time decisions that you will feel night in and night out. We're going to go through every single thing, and I've got a great team behind me that's going to help me get the job done. I want this to be the place that people come to. We are going to hit every single one of those markets that you need to know about. There is not going to be a better place, I promise you, than game time decisions. We will have everything at our disposal, and we will use that to our advantage. I'm Kevin Walsh. Tune into Game Time Decisions from 6 to 8 p.m. Eastern on SportsGrid.
Off of the combine this weekend, there's been lots of anonymous sources and position coaches and all these things that sat down in interviews with him. A lot of teams allegedly don't see him as a first-round pick.
Their big mouth that thinks they can do it either. They're embarrassing themselves. They all think they're so smart, everybody in this business. You're all a bunch of drips. Honestly, you don't know who's going anywhere.
Pharrell Coast to Coast, only on SportsGrid.
Golf's unofficial fifth major this week at TPC Sawgrass for the Players' Championship. And joining us live from Sawgrass, it is Keith Stewart, live right here on this Wednesday morning on the early line on SportsGrid to get you set for the players, all the names that you need to know for one of the signature events each and every year on the PGA Tour. Keith, as always, we appreciate the time. Thanks for being here on this Wednesday.
Ben, Donnie, good morning. I know it's probably not great up in New York City, but down here in Ponte Vedra, it is just about perfect. Mid-70s and bring on the golf.
It is wonderful to see. Not bad out here, though, in the Northeast. Pretty warm, at least based on this time of the year. But, of course, it feels like spring, and we'll see that this week at TPC Sawgrass. But, Keith, before we get to the actual event, the tournament, and the odds for the Players' Championship, of course, big news yesterday in the world of sports, but specifically in golf. Tiger Woods announcing he had ruptured his Achilles, has already undergone surgery, expects to make a full recovery, but we know what this looks like. So let me ask you a two-part question. Will we see Tiger Woods play competitive golf ever again? And if so, when exactly might that be?
Well, Ben, the timeline for this was not a tear. This was a rupture. And I'm no doctor, but, we're talking about a Kobe-type injury, or we're talking about, possibly like Aaron Rodgers. So we're looking at probably a year's worth of rehab. This is the 89th Masters. Maybe we'll see him at the 90th Masters. As far as for the rest of his career, all the doubters, I'll let them play that game. This guy has come back a myriad of times, and I'm sure he's going to do it at least one more time. If not just for the PNC to play with Charlie around Christmas time, I think he'll definitely play in another Masters or another major before his career is over.
Yeah, you want to go out on your own terms, and certainly a guy of Tiger's ilk, he's certainly going to battle back that just to make sure he makes an appearance that says, you know what, I did this on my own terms. Now, talking about their own terms, it's the Players' Championship. It's a rite of passage, the fifth unofficial major, we should say. But tell us about this iconic golf course and how it looks to play this week, Keith.
Well, Donnie, TPC Sawgrass is in exquisite, magnificent condition this week. We got a little rain to start the week on Monday, Sunday night into Monday, just enough to soften the surfaces. But right now they have this place peaking for the week. And, it's one of those places like Augusta National where we are at the same venue every year. And PGA Tour headquarters is right here. They can play with the golf course all year long, and they have it right where they want it to be. It is going to play a lot like Bay Hill last week, where it started out a little bit soft as the week started, and then as the week went on, you could see it get crustier and crustier. By Sunday afternoon, just the guys won't be the only ones feeling the heat. The golf course is going to be firm and fast, and it's going to play out exactly the way they want to. And you know what? Pete Dye's test here that they've used since 1982, it's really stood the test of time. The average winning score here since they moved back to March in 2019, it's 16 under par. It's a fun winning score. It's not like a beat-em-up major winning score like we saw last week at Bay Hill. I think this week is going to be extremely entertaining, Donnie.
So to go low, to be entertaining at golf's unofficial fifth major, Keith, of course, we need the critical aspects of everybody's game. What are Keith's keys for this week at Sawgrass?
Well, Ben, I'm going to start right away with course management. Since they made the move over here to TPC Sawgrass for the Players' Championship back in the 80s, only one rookie has ever won, and that was Craig Perks back in 2002. The guys that are here for the first time, your debutantes, we're not going to count on them. You've got to learn this golf course, much like an Augusta National. You've got to be able to plod your way around this place, and you've got to be able to successfully game plan it. This is why Scotty's so good. He's the best course manager in all the game of golf. Justin Thomas yesterday in his presser, he was asked, he said, if you could borrow one skill from Scotty, what would it be? And he said, it would be his course management. He's won back-to-back years here, and he's favored for his third in a row. That's one of them. Number two, you got to be a little bit bipolar. And what I mean by that is that on approach, which is a huge statistic this week, that's your iron game in attacking these 5,500 square foot greens, you've got to be a little bit bipolar. There's opportunities on the par fives, the long par fours, and that long par three eighth to hit some iron shots in from over 200 yards. But then there's a bunch of wedge shots as well. There's 5 par fours under 425, and then there's, of course, the iconic island green that's about 140 yards, which is another wedge for these guys. So you got to be good with the long irons and the short irons and the last one. I think you got to attack this place off the tee. You look at the winners since we moved back here in March of 2019. Rory, Cam, JT, Scotty twice. These are aggressive players. These guys go after this golf course. I don't think you can sit back and be scared. I think you got to ride the roller coaster, and I think you got to attack hard off the tee, and that's why I love a couple of these guys at the top of the leaderboard.
Let's get to it. The early leans on the early line. No surprise here. Scotty Scheffler at a 4-1 price here at the FanDuel Sportsbook. Rory, Colin, Ludwig, Justin, Xander. It is flooded. We hope we get this leaderboard on Sunday. So for you, Keith, who is going to be on that leaderboard on Sunday?
Well, there's a lot of talk around Colin Morikawa. When he sat in the press room yesterday, every question it was about Sunday at Bay Hill and how did you lose? And he said, you know what? We had to try to strip everything down and start from scratch and figure out what we're doing on Sundays. That's not going to happen in 3 days. So I don't feel good about Mr. Morikawa. Although he is striking the ball beautifully, he hasn't been able to close in recent history. Another guy, Rory. Rory's doing a lot of equipment testing these days. It was the story last week. We talked about it. He put new woods in the bag for TGL. He carried those into the first couple of rounds for Bay Hill. By Sunday, he was back to his old set of woods, his driver, his fairway wood. A little bit of indecision there. You cannot have that around this place. And then there's Scotty. I mean, I guess the sky is falling. He's come back from the hand injury. He's been 9th, 25th, 3rd, and 11th. I mean, the guy contends every single week, and it doesn't seem like his game is just right. He's coming to a place that he obviously owns. He's won twice in a row. The guy's game is near impeccable, so you got to pay attention to him at the top of the board. Now, for me, I'm going to go a little ways down. I've got to go back to the kid. Ludwig Oberg at plus 1,800. He's one of the favorites, and that's for a reason. He is a generational driver of the golf ball. I mentioned it in my keys. He can attack this place. He played here once. Last year, he was 8th, and he didn't putt very well. The kid has been on a roll. He won the Genesis. I definitely love where his game's at. And the second guy, I know Donnie likes a good long shot. I'm going with Sepp Straka. That's right. Ooh. At plus 5,000, 50 to 1. Look at what this guy's done since he won the Amex. 7th, 15th, a miscut, but then 11th and 5th. He is one of the top 5 ball strikers in this field with Morikawa, with Scotty. Look for the septic tank to go deep this week.
The septic tank. All
like
right.
that.
A nickname for Sepp Straka.
That's a good one.
We love that. Keith Stewart, have a great week out there at the Players' Championship. Some NBA handicaps next on TEL.
The game is on. The stakes are high. But the action isn't just on the field.
He's rearranging that rim. Get it inside!
SportsGrid's in-game live. Your ultimate second screen experience.
Just a little flyer, couple of thoughts.
18.5-point live line.
Every prop, every play, every day.
Anything can happen. That's complete chaos.
It's smarter to be on SportsGrid.
Anyone that's been to a sporting event, the atmosphere before a game, I think Game Time Decisions has that same exact atmosphere. This is our arena. This is what we do. There is going to be an energy to Game Time Decisions that you will feel night in and night out. The excitement you get when you lock your bets in, when you're figuring out what you want to do, we can zone in on the biggest games each night. I want this to be the place that people come to before the games start so they feel as ready as possible to lock in their cards. We are going to hit every single one of those markets that you need to know about. We're going to go through every single thing, and I've got a great team behind me that's going to help me get the job done. There is not going to be a better place, I promise you, than Game Time Decisions to get that new information, react to it, and be able to then bet accordingly. We will have everything at our disposal, and we will use that to our advantage. I'm Kevin Walsh. Tune into Game Time Decisions from 6 to 8 p.m. Eastern on SportsGrid.
The two guys that can do it all.
Too much electricity this morning.
This is a good time. We're having a lot of fun.
I had to do a triple take. Ka-ching!
Why? Because of parity. I didn't mean to offend.
Yeah, it's not going to happen.
Load management is a dirty word.
Let him rip.
You know what? Circumstances provide the results. What? How do you do this once? Oh, Donnie, you've got such a good show there.
A network that is booming.
The Early Line, only on SportsGrid.
The month of March is also the end in the stretch run of the NBA regular season, where everybody is trying to figure out where they are going to be for the postseason, and of course, maybe trying to get into a postseason spot, including the play-in tournament as well. Maybe you are just trying to prove where you reside in terms of the NBA pantheon and the elite And are we actually seeing a finals preview tonight? A term we use far too freely here on the early line, but this one is expected to be that NBA championship series. The Oklahoma City Thunder visiting Boston in the home of the reigning champs inside TD Garden for the Celtics. That 4-point number, old news. Only a 2-point spread now in favor of the C's at home. Total 228 and a half. DRS, it really should be a finals preview. It has been the expected finals matchup basically all season long around the association. What do you think we see tonight with an early look at what we might see in June?
I feel like singing right now, like, that line is dropping, dun, 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 dropping like a rock. And it is, and it should be. OKC. Ben, OKC's the play tonight. Come on now. 4.5 down the 2s right now. This is one of those games where we understand that Boston is supposed to be the reigning champion, which they are, and should be able to handle their business on their home court. But these are some of the games that I file away and say, OKC, who does it mean more towards? Boston or OKC? Nobody really believes in us, but Donnie, we might have the best record in the NBA. We're going to win the Western Conference. This is the game that matters. You pull up to Boston and lose this game by 7 or 10 points. People go, we always knew Boston was always going to be the right team now. Supposedly two healthy teams coming into tonight. A 4.5 line down to 2 here. And earlier, before the show even started, it still was 3.5 points as a favorite for Boston. I'm buying this line movement. It's OKC's night. For 6 out of 7 days where the NBA stinks on a night-to-night basis, we're finally getting a gem tonight, and we can watch this game at 7:30 tonight. I need to see Oklahoma City say, no. No fluke over here on this side. We got the MVP, and we think we have the best team, and we're going to show it tonight.
There is no doubt about it, DRS. It is very much a litmus test for the Thunder. When you are going to the home of the reigning champ, who is still that NBA championship favorite, it is a time to prove it. Of course, everything for OKC will ultimately be decided in the postseason, but an opportunity to show everybody around the association what exactly you got. The Thunder, only a dog twice this year, just 2 times for OKC. They won outright in their season opener as an underdog against Denver in early January. As a road underdog against the Cavaliers, they lost by 7, 3.5-point spread, did not cover. Boston on a 5-game win streak. It is still really funny, right? Cleveland, best team in the NBA. 15 consecutive wins again, 55-10, 8-game advantage over the C's, and Oklahoma City, the only other team at the 50-win benchmark, 53-12. Boston has been slightly disappointing based on our outrageous standard of success for the Celtics, and yet they've got 47 wins and they've won 5 consecutive games and still are booked as the NBA title favorites. Plus 180 for the Celtics, a 2-to-1 price, plus 200 for the Thunder. Big one around the Western Conference. OKC on Monday night losing to the Denver Nuggets. Now the Nuggets return home to host the Minnesota Timberwolves. 3.5-point spread in favor of the Nugs. Total 234.5. What's the play tonight at altitude?
Yeah, that's exactly right. Altitude here should play a difference here in the second half. I look for the Denver Nuggets to win this basketball game. I do find it interesting, though, that this line opened up at 3.5 with no line movement there on the Nuggets being at home and probably going to be a public favorite tonight. Estimated starting lineup tonight, Russell Westbrook, Jamal Murray, Christian Brown, Brooks Porter Jr., and Nikola Jokic. So not a lot of changes in that starting lineup. And still going to get a full gas effort from Minnesota. But anytime I see a home team, a good team like the Nuggets with that advantage at elevation, if you think they're going to win the game, they better be able to cover the 3.5. And other outlets have already moved on, Ben. There's 4s and 4.5s out there. So FanDuel's still posting a pretty solid line if you want the home team in the Nuggets tonight.
Most of the best games tonight really feature a team or two out of the Western Conference. Again, Donnie, similar conversation for the Suns. Phoenix on the road in Houston, getting 4.5 points, total 229. Can the Suns play spoiler tonight against the Rockets?
Suns playing spoiler against, I mean, come on. So what are we getting out of Suns on a day-to-day basis at this point? So I just out of theory for me, I got to go with the Rockets tonight. They're home. I mean, the Suns, like, again, hey, Suns by 6 tonight. I'd be like, that's just the NBA for you. But come on now. Come on, Rockets. Show up for me tonight, please.
Phoenix still 2.5 games out of that 10 spot for what would be the 4th and final position in the play-in tournament. Got to steal at least a few. Our coach, James Young, is next.
The game is on. The stakes are high. But the action isn't just on the field.
He's rearranging that roof. Get it inside!
SportsGrid's in-game live. Your ultimate second screen experience.
A little flyer, couple of 15.5-point live line.
Every prop, every play, every day.
Anything can happen. That's complete chaos.
It's smarter to be on SportsGrid.
Anyone that's been to a sporting event, the atmosphere before a game, I think Game Time Decisions has that same exact atmosphere. This is our arena. This is what we do. There is going to be an energy to Game Time Decisions that you will feel night in and night out. The excitement you get when you lock your bets in, when you're figuring out what you want to do, we can zone in on the biggest games each night. I want this to be the place that people come to before the games start so they feel as ready as possible to lock in their cards. We are going to hit every single one of those markets that you need to know about. We're gonna go through every single thing, and I've got a great team behind me that's gonna help me get the job done. There is not gonna be a better place, I promise you, than Game Time Decisions to get that new information, react to it, and be able to then bet accordingly. We will have everything at our disposal, and we will use that to our advantage. I'm Kevin Walsh. Tune into Game Time Decisions from 6 to 8 p.m. Eastern on SportsGrid.
The two guys that can do it all.
Too much electricity this morning.
This is a good time. We're having a lot of fun.
I had to do a triple take. Ka-ching!
Why? Because of parity.
I didn't mean to offend.
Yeah, it's not.
Load management is a dirty word.
Let him rip.
You know what? Circumstances provide the results. What? How do you do this one? Oh, Donnie, you got such a good show there.
A network that is booming.
The early line, only on SportsGrid.
Live right here on this Wednesday on the early line on SportsGrid. You have now found your college basketball handicapping headquarters for all of the action that we are going to see on this Wednesday. All 5 of the high major leagues either have already started into round 2 or will start their conference tournament as of this Wednesday. Games start in just about an hour, 8-10 tourney, Davidson and Richmond. So to help us make sense of it all, of course, you need a scouting report. And who better than provide that than our coach? That would be JY, James Young, joining us here on this Wednesday on the early line on SportsGrid. More tickets, JY, to be punched to the men's NCAA tournament tonight, and plenty of great action all Wednesday long. Thanks for being here.
This is like a potpourri of basketball, a buffet, as you will. Game started at 11:30. Last game probably about 11 o'clock tonight. Buckle up, get your coffee. It's go time.
It is certainly go time, and there are tickets to be had to the men's NCAA tournament tonight. 3 tickets to be punched, 3 conference tournament championship games. In the Southland, the hefty favorite in McNeese takes on Lamar. In the Patriot League, after a few days off, the American takes on Navy. Very patriotic affair, 2.5-point spread in favor of American. Navy knocked off top-seeded Bucknell earlier in the week. And Big Sky tournament title game, top 2 seeds, Northern Colorado and Montana. Having some issues here with our coach, JY, causing some confusion behind the scenes. Hate to see it. That's why you show up early and you make sure everything is ready to go. Goodness, JY, kind of killing some of the momentum in March. It's always about momentum, but we're back. And we're good. And we should have called a timeout.
I had to take a 30-second timeout. First possession of the game.
That's good.
Chris Webber style. Yep.
We still have like 3 remaining. We're all good. JY, let's start with our 3 tournament title games tonight with 3 spots in the Big Dance available. Again, in the Southland, it's McNeese and Lamar. Hefty spread in favor of Will Wade's team. Now 13.5. American and Navy in the Patriot League final. American 2.5-point favorite. And out in Big Sky country, Northern Colorado and Montana, 2 top teams in the tourney. They face off tonight. JY, of those three matchups, which one is most intriguing? Where do you think the best breakdown lies?
Well, I think the Lamar McNeese State is it's a crazy line at 12.5. And obviously McNeese State, I don't know if we want to talk about the team or the manager, whichever one is getting really more pub at this point. But I just think 12.5 points in a title game is really a lot to ask for. We saw even last night a team like Delaware that was playing their fifth game in 5 nights found a way to keep it close. When you get to these title games, you call timeouts quicker, like I did when I messed up coming on air, and you really play the game really close to the vest. What is most intriguing is the one with the biggest spread, and that's Lamar plus 12.5 tonight.
By the way, Coach, let's get back to the home base here in the Metro Atlantic Conference here. So many teams look like legitimate chances to win it. Atlantic City in the forefront this week, and you take a look at a team like Ryder and Quinnipiac. Quinnipiac, the best team in conference play in the regular season, 15-5. But you got, Coach, 15-5, 14-6, 13-7, 3 teams at 12-8, 1 team at 10-10, and then 2 more teams at 9-11 and 1 at 8-12. The depth of this conference really on display. How does it factor in the Metro Atlantic this weekend for you down in Atlantic City?
Tight games, and as someone that coached in the MAC and played in Boardwalk Hall, do know how they set up the gym. They turn it in its long ways. You have literally, I would say, 100 to 150 feet behind the basket. First game is always tough for teams. Depth perception. Why, Donnie? You don't even get to practice at Boardwalk Hall. They send you to a high school to actually work out, and then obviously
AC.
AC that gives you disadvantage. So I'm looking at games to go under in Atlantic City, particularly first game, and definitely the second game of the day. First game of the day, guys, you get a 60-minute warm-up. Second game, you get 20, and that's the first time you get on the floor. Look to play unders early in the MAC tournament, just not because of that, but also games should be tight because the teams at the top half are really, really close.
The quarterfinals start today down by the boardwalk. Merrimack also in action as the 2 seed, 2.5-point favorite. JY, quarterfinal action in Conference USA. The top 2 teams in the league also enter the fold. Liberty, 7.5-point favorite against UTEP. Jacksonville State, 8.5-point favorite against FIU. These 2 teams really battled it out for that top spot for the regular season crown in CUSA. Ultimately, what do you think happens today? Who do you think ends up winning Conference USA tournament title?
Going to be tight between Liberty and Jacksonville. I'm going to go with Liberty. But in regards to games today, if you want to look at, take a look at Liberty minus 7.5 versus UTEP. I know they split the season series early on. But if you just break down, according to Ken Palmer, you start looking at like effective field goal percentage. You got the number 8 team offensively in Liberty versus the 231st defensively in UTEP. You go to the other side of the ball, 249th for UTEP, 10th for Liberty. That sounds like a game that should be bigger than a 7.5-point spread. Give me Liberty minus a point. I think they win by double digits today.
Coach, let's get to the A-10 here. Some games on deck. Fordham versus Rhode Island, LaSalle versus UMass, Richmond and Davidson. So some of the bottom teams that begin to play. VCU, the top dog at 15-3 in conference play, very close behind, and just sort of a tiebreaker, 15-3. George Mason. Then you have Dayton and Loyola Chicago. In the A-10, any runners there midway down for you? Is this just VCU, best offense, best defense? Let them roll in this conference.
Yeah, it's VCU. And I mean, they should be, this is a team that should still make the tournament if they don't win it. But you know they get tricky sometimes with the Atlantic 10. But if you're looking at a game to look at today, look at Davidson's team total over 68.5 versus Richmond. They win games, both games, they went 70+. They've gone over 6 in the last 9 games. Richmond's been without their best scorer and now their best rim protector. This could be the end of the Chris Mooney era. A really great coach has been at Richmond for a long time. They have really fallen on hard times. They're getting blown out. Give me Davidson team total over 68.5 this morning. Game starts at 11:30.
The Spiders have made some noise in March under what they have done in Richmond. A 5.5-point spread now in favor of Davidson. That total for the game overall, 129 in a hook. In the nation's capital, in Washington, D.C., the first of many games today at 11:30 a.m. Eastern Time. JY, as we talk about the Mountain West here as well, we've got a triple header of action in Mountain West basketball. We'll get to the high majors on the other side of the break. The Mountain West, as of this moment, sending 3 teams to the NCAA tournament. But Boise State and Colorado State don't play today, could factor into the NCAA tournament bubble conversation come Selection Sunday in just a few days as well. How do you handicap the Mountain West Conference tournament and what we are going to see this week in Las Vegas?
Well, you got to see. Well, listen, first things first, you were talking about Las Vegas. There's a team that's playing today in UNLV, playing in their own arena, and Thomas and Mack has 13.5-point favorites versus an Air Force team. Speaking of Chris Mooney, another Princeton guy, Joe Scott, struggling mightily at 4-27 with an Air Force team that really should get their doors absolutely blown off. You look at a team like UNLV that won both games by 15-plus points, adjusted efficiency offensively 60. And then Air Force struggles on offense, struggles defensively, and they run the Princeton offense, which means if they get down, they can't really speed it up to come back. Look at UNLV minus 13.5, and look at Nevada to cover the spread as 11.5 as well today.
Opening round of Mountain West Conference tournament action. Some of the big boys get underway tomorrow as well. The team that won the regular season conference crown for the first time in more than a decade, Richard Pitino in the Lobos of New Mexico, who won the conference tournament and saw the big dance last year, hoping to do better than getting ousted in the opening round. I thought New Mexico might have been able to make a run last year in March. So that's all the mid-major action that we have. Again, 3 tournament title games tonight in the Southland, in the Patriot League, and out in Big Sky Country. Love this Northern Colorado team. The Bears defend the crap out of the basketball. But now we'll get to the high major level and all of the action you will see on this Wednesday with Jay Wide next.
The game is on. The stakes are high. But the action isn't just on the field.
Just rearranging that roof. Get it inside!
SportsGrid's in-game live. Your ultimate second screen experience.
A little flyer, couple of 15.5-point live line.
Every prop, every play, every day.
Anything can happen. That's complete chaos.
It's smarter to be on SportsGrid.
Anyone that's been to a sporting event, the atmosphere before a game, I think Game Time Decisions has that same exact atmosphere. This is our arena. This is what we do. There is going to be an energy to Game Time Decisions that you will feel night in and night out. The excitement you get when you lock your bets in, when you're figuring out what you want to do, we can zone in on the biggest games each night. I want this to be the place that people come to before the games start so they feel as ready as possible to lock in their cards. We are going to hit every single one of those markets that you need to know about. We're going to go through every single thing, and I've got a great team behind me that's going to help me get the job done. There is not going to be a better place, I promise you, than Game Time Decisions to get that new information, react to it, and be able to then bet accordingly. We will have everything at our disposal, and we will use that to our advantage. I'm Kevin Walsh. Tune into Game Time Decisions from 6 to 8 p.m. Eastern on SportsGrid.
The two guys that can do it all.
Too much electricity this morning.
This is a good time. We're having a lot of fun.
I had to do a triple take. Ka-ching! Why? Because of parity.
I didn't mean to offend.
Yeah, it's not going to happen.
Load management is a dirty word.
Let him rip.
You know what? Circumstances provide the results. What? How do you do this one? Oh, Donnie, you've got such a good show there.
A network that is booming.
The Early Line, only on SportsGrid.
There is so much college basketball action on this Wednesday. 40, count them, 40 D1 men's college basketball games on this Wednesday starting at 11:30 a.m. Eastern Time. Final games tip around 11:30 p.m. Eastern Time. We're talking over 13 and a half hours of college hoops on this Wednesday, including all 5 of the power conferences, all 5 at the high major level in the ACC in Charlotte and in the Big 12 tourney in Kansas City. It is round number 2, but Big East, Big 10, SEC opening round action gets underway on this Wednesday. So let's go to high major action. And JY, when you have conference realignment, when you have the expanded leagues, you have really good teams that have to play early now in their conference bracket if they have even been slightly underwhelming throughout the regular season. Iowa State, 8.5-point favorite in the first game in KC against Cincinnati today. And, of course, can the preseason number 1 team in the nation, who fell off throughout the regular season, Kansas, can they find their footing in what should be a very friendly atmosphere in KC Mo? The Jayhawks, a 9.5-point favorite against UCF. JY, what do you expect to see out of both the Cyclones and the Jayhawks on this Wednesday?
Well, the first thing for the Cyclones is they're finally healthy, right? You know, they've missed guys pretty much all season, and they're a team that is so dangerous. And what's great about TJ Ossenberger's team is, to me, Ben, they're more explosive offensively than they've been in the past, right? They can kind of beat you that style. So I love them today, minus the points versus Iowa State. But to me, it's all about Kansas. Like, what Kansas team are we going to get? I mean, because this is a team that was the number 1 team in the country that at times look good, and at times you just don't wonder if they're really engaged. A team with a ton of experience, a team with a coach that's won national championships before. But maybe they looked really good against Arizona in that 83-76 win. They covered the spread versus Houston. Maybe now, Ben, they're going to start to turn the corner. I like Kansas minus the points versus UCF in game number 2 in the Big 12.
Yeah, Kansas should be a fun one to watch out in the Big 12, no doubt about it. As Ben pointed out, you get that pseudo home court advantage that you have. See if they can catch lightning in a bottle. Talking about lightning in a bottle in the ACC today, Coach, 2:30 p.m. Notre Dame, North Carolina. Knows what they have to do. Quad 1 victories, hard to come by. Maybe they can knock Duke off. Maybe they need to run the entire route of the ACC tournament just to get in. But people are buying this. Minus 7.5 at the FanDuel Sportsbook at the opening number, Coach. 10.5 now for North Carolina. Are you buying North Carolina has some of that oomph to get through the ACC, or just going to flame out?
Well, listen, if you think about the way how North Carolina played versus Duke on Saturday night, right? It was a tale of two halves, and obviously it's the play of R.J. Davis. Which R.J. Davis you're going to get? But here's the thing: if they're going to make the tournament, you're right. They don't have the opportunity for the quad 1 wins. They got to, ready, guys? They got to blow teams out. Like, they got to win by 12, 15 plus early in this conference tournament to try and see if they can gain some kind of momentum. So when you look at UNC as of late going into this game, right? Yes, they lost the game by Duke as 11.5. They lost it down the stretch, right? But they had covered, I do believe, the 6 previous games by that, and they had odds that were 10.5, 11.5, big numbers. Sure. I don't care about a big number. They got to get it done, and they got to win big to even think about sniffing a bid. Give me UNC minus the points.
I bet Carolina in the first half. No time left to be desired for Hubert Davis and company. 5.5-point spread when I got it probably on its way up. Some great action around the ACC. There is no doubt. But JY, as we talk about the SEC, the most highly anticipated conference tournament in Nashville, probably in the history of this league. 4 bona fide teams right now in the top 6 of the national championship prices. The 4 top teams in the conference: Auburn, Florida, Alabama, and Tennessee. We won't see them for a few days, but because of how stacked the SEC has been all season long, tournament teams in action around the SEC on this Wednesday. That includes Vandy. That includes Georgia. It might include Oklahoma, and it might include Arkansas as well. With the tourney implications, JY, of those 3 SEC games at the bottom of your screen, who needs a dub most on this Wednesday in Nashville?
Oh, it's obvious. It's Arkansas. I mean, and it's Arkansas, a team that maybe almost knocked themselves out of the tournament when they lost, ready, by 20 to South Carolina less than 2 weeks ago. So for me, it's minus 4.5. It was 2.5. It's moved to 4.5 because people expect this game to be a redemption game for Cal's kids. And he's going to need it, Ben. He's got to win this game. He's got to win impressively, and who knows? He might need to get a second game or be close in the second game in order to be there, because you know the SEC is going to get a ton of bids. You look at Texas; they need to probably win, or they're not going to make it. Vanderbilt should be in, but I'm going to take Vanderbilt on the money line. So Vanderbilt, Arkansas, Oklahoma, Georgia's got to be tricky because Oklahoma does have the firepower to win this game.
Coach, let me flip it over to Madison Square Garden tonight, 9 o'clock tip time, Seton Hall and Villanova. You are a friend of the program for Seton Hall, but Villanova, they need wins because Kyle Neptune, if they lose tonight, he might be moving to Neptune tomorrow morning because he'll be out of Villanova with a job. Minus 10.5, Coach. Does Nova get it done? Does Seton Hall get peeled off? What happens tonight?
Well, I live in Neptune Township, so I guess me and Kyle Neptune
there you go.
Wow. Maybe where to go.
Wow.
I didn't know you did. Look at you, Mr. McNally's map. I'm very proud of you. But simply put, in talking to people, because I do have connections on the other side with Villanova, simply put, Kyle Neptune's got to make a run. And it's got to be more than today. He's got to win today, cover the spread, and then he's got to go beat UConn in that 3-6 game tomorrow night at 9:30. If they think they even have a chance to sniff the tournament. Kyle Neptune's team will cover the spread. Eric Dixon against that freshman should absolutely beat that game up. What you'll watch for Shaheen Holloway, slow it down. They don't have the horses to play with Villanova. Shaw will make this a rock fight, but at the end, I still like Villanova minus points, and you can find Eric Dixon's points prop. Go over that as well.
125 and a hook is that total. Seton Hall unders have been a very profitable betting angle all season long. Maybe one final ride tonight inside MSG. JY, we got to say goodbye to our guy, Donnie Rightside. You and I will be back for some more college hoops and NBA handicaps on the other side. DRS, a fadeaway to the break? A fadeaway to the money line? Oh, no. Just,
It's made every match so much more enjoyable to watch because you don't get the stinkers, right?
Right. It goes back to these guys being smart. They figured out that if I've got the hammer in my back pocket and I don't relinquish it, we can just play them straight up and win. They figured that out. So it's like, all right, now credit to the people at TGL. Like, no, we need to fix this because the hammer can change the match. And since we fixed it, you're not out of it.
The Smiley Show, only on SportsGrid.
There is going to be an energy to game time decisions that you will feel night in and night out. We're going to go through every single thing, and I've got a great team behind me that's going to help me get the job done. I want this to be the place that people come to. We are going to hit every single one of those markets that you need to know about. There is not going to be a better place, I promise you, than game time decisions. We will have everything at our disposal, and we will use that to our advantage. I'm Kevin Walsh. Tune into Game Time Decisions from 6 to 8 p.m. Eastern on SportsGrid.
Off of the combine this weekend, there's been lots of anonymous sources and position coaches and all these things that sat down in interviews with him. A lot of teams allegedly don't see him as a first-round pick.
Their big mouth that thinks they can do it either. They're embarrassing themselves. They all think they're so smart, everybody in this business. You're all a bunch of drips. Honestly, you don't know who's going anywhere.
Pharrell Coast to Coast, only on SportsGrid.
We'll continue previewing some college basketball in just a moment, but I am very glad because normally in these final segments, I got to end it out by myself. The wind can't keep up sometimes, but that's not the case on this Wednesday. The coach, J.Y. James Young, remains. J.Y. will get to college basketball in just a moment. We'll look at some of the early round action in the Big East and the Big Ten on this Wednesday as well. But we got to hit the NBA rather quickly. 9-game slate, couple of good games across the docket, but none bigger than this potential NBA Finals preview. Really has been the possible NBA Finals preview as the odds makers have seen it all year long. Tonight in the home of the reigning champs inside TD Garden, it's the Celtics hosting the Oklahoma City Thunder. A 2-point spread now in favor of the C's. Total stands at 228.5. JY, if this is an NBA Finals preview and the spread is only 2 in favor of Boston inside TD Garden, just how good of a matchup are we in store for on this Wednesday evening?
This is the matchup we all been waiting for, and ever since they played on January 5th. No disrespect to a Cleveland Cavaliers team that won their 15th game in a row, but this is the one we've been waiting for. The two top teams in the NBA squaring off tonight, and a 2-point spread, which basically means, they're basically giving Boston the 2 points, saying it's an even game, right? Because usually 2.5 points built in regards to the matchup. So to me, I always look at it as, you got the team that just came off a loss. Do they go on the road and get the win? I don't think so. I think Boston wants to make a statement. Last time out, they played Oklahoma City, won by 13, covered a 1.5-point spread at OKC. Boston gets revenge. Give me the Celtics on the money line tonight.
It is just a 2-point number, as JY alluded to. The Celtics have only been an underdog 3 times, including that first matchup in OKC back on January 5th. The Thunder won that game by 13 at home, 105-92. OKC only an underdog twice this year. Their season opener against Denver won that game outright against Cleveland on the road a few days after that initial matchup against Boston. Great NBA slate, 9 games tonight. Can Phoenix play spoiler in Houston as an underdog against the Rockets? The Clippers, after losing to New Orleans last night, remain on the road for a second leg of a back-to-back. And the New York Knicks head out to Portland to take on the Blazers. The Knicks on a road trip that continues this week because of the Big East tournament inside Madison Square Garden. JY, the Red Storm, a plus 130 favorite. That is St. John's, having won the regular season crown for the first time in 4 decades. Will Rick Pitino and the Johnnies back it up with a tournament title this week inside the world's most famous arena?
I'm worried about Travion Smith and his injury, but I'm going to say yes. They find ways to win, and there's no party like a garden party. And there's no garden party like a St. John's party when St. John's is good. It's been 25 years since this team has really been this good, and Rick Pitino's done a great job. I do like them, but if you want a team on the other side of the bracket, I look for a team that can give them a matchup problem. And to me, the team that beat them the first regular season game of the season, that is Creighton. With the sides, I know they lost Pop Isaac, but the sides of Calipari, 4-time defending Big East Defensive Player of the Year, can neutralize Ejiofor inside and make you funnel the guards like Kadari Richmond to the basket. If there's a team on the other side of the bracket I like, to me, it's the Creighton Blue Jays.
They do have that third best number behind UConn. That would be the bottom of the bracket, the Jays and the Huskies. Big Ten tournament in Indianapolis. Michigan State also overwhelming, winning the regular season crown, number 11 under Tom Izzo by 3 games. They are the tournament favorite in Indy at a plus 280 number, but 15 teams in Indianapolis, it feels rather wide open. JY, when all is said and done, Sunday evening, right before Selection Sunday, who goes home a tournament title winner from Indianapolis?
People are going to lose their minds what I'm about to say. I'm taking Purdue at 7-1. I think they get by Rutgers. I like the experience in the backcourt of Lawyer and Smith, obviously Braden Smith, first-team All-American, Kaufman running the front court, and that bottom half of the draw, Ben, Michigan not playing well. I never am a big believer in Kevin Willard's team on the road or on neutral sites, so that could be a pathway to the finals where the top half of the draw, to me, is more difficult. Give me Purdue 7-1 to win the Big Ten tournament.
Could be a semifinal showdown for the Boilers against a streaking Illinois team later this weekend in Indianapolis. JY, I've also bet the Boilermakers at a plus 700 price to win the Big Ten tourney title. We got to be in lockstep. It's the month of March. We'll be doing a lot of this together. A fadeaway to Thursday. The early line returns 8 a.m. Eastern time. We'll talk to you tomorrow.